Yeah, we're exploring for gold, high-grade gold, actually in Washington State. Just a little on the management, for starters. Yale Simpson, you might know that name. He might be in here. I expect him in here sometime today. He's had a few successes recently, Exeter most recently. Myself, I've been in this business for 20-some years, and in the junior sector since about 2002. Right now we're trading in the range of about 20 to 22 cents. We've been as high as 24 cents. Our year low is 2 cents. Right now we've got about $1.5 million in the treasury. That cash has been raised through the exercise of warrants. Warrants right now at about 10 cents. So I would expect to see a little bit more of that come in, maybe another $500,000 or $1 million or so over the next month or two. You can see our price chart, a lot of action in that. There's room for improvement. One of the things we are doing starting this month, before the end of May, we expect to have a drill on the ground testing some of the targets. And what I'm going to do in this presentation is show you the targets and show you how we've either developed them and then de-risk them and what we're going to do with these different targets. Okay, a few highlights of Washington State. It's not all of Washington State. We're really focused in the northeastern part of Washington. It's a proven mining district. There is a mill that's underutilized, and that mill has probably got another 1 or 2 weeks of feed left and will be running through some stockpiles over the next couple of months. But after that, it will go on care and maintenance, and that's owned by Kinross. So the area is needing ore. I say it's underexplored, and especially by modern techniques. And we flew a VTEM survey this year, and as this survey was being flown, we just couldn't believe nobody had flown an EM survey in that district in the last 20 years. We have a lot of targets, some large targets, some medium-sized targets, a lot of targets, and we've got a lot of these targets now drill ready and permitted. So we start in May. This area is a pretty significant mining district. 6 million ounces mined here from, currently the mine is Buckhorn. Buckhorn probably has 2 weeks left before it's shut down. Nob Hill is one of the bigger ones. This is an epithermal deposit, 2.8 million ounces of gold mined, average grade of 20 grams per ton, and that also produced about 15 million ounces of silver at 110 grams per ton. So a pretty significant district. The other bit of exploration in the district would be K2. Kinross has got a drill or two on that project. It's a 1 million ounce deposit, 8 to 10 grams per ton. And that there's about 200,000 or 300,000 ounces remaining there. Our projects, Empire Creek, Flag Hill, are two of our projects. I won't talk about those today. What I will talk about is something that we used to call oversight. It's now called the Cook Mountain District. Cook Mountain District had about 1.2 million ounces discovered historically, and about 1 million of those ounces have been mined. And average grade, let's call it around 7 or 7.5 grams or so. That area sits right in here. And before I go too far, I wanted to talk about the economics of Washington State. It's known for having high grade, which is really what we're key on. And this is especially important as the gold price fluctuates, as it drops down to, if it comes down to $1,000, we're not that worried. This district has been able to produce gold at a very low cost. Buckhorn Mine, 1.3 million ounce deposit, 12 grams per ton. Average cost to produce an ounce of gold in this district has been under $500, and and considering that ore is hauled about 70 kilometers. You're not looking at big capex. You're looking at high-grade deposits, underground mining, relatively easier to permit than an open pit type of deposit. As I said, the Buckhorn deposit is out of ore in about 2 weeks. There's a 2,000-ton per day mill that will become very hungry and will go on care and maintenance at a cost of about $1 million a year. So, really important part of our business, and I'll tell you a bit more about that. Okay, let's take a look at the Cook Mountain area. We have developed targets. I'll go through those. People say, how is the permitting in Washington State? That's one of the biggest questions I get. Well, we've received our state permits already. It took about 30 days to get permits to drill on BLM ground. We've been given some acceptance. We'll see if we get that final permit next week. And we're waiting for some of our targets on U.S. forestry land. We expect to see that in about, we were told, 30 to 40 days as of last Thursday. So it's a doable process, and it's a very simple process to get through. Should I do that? There we go. In the last year, we have expanded our land position on 2 trends. This isn't quite up to date. There's a bit more land that we've acquired in the past little while. We've acquired land on 2 trends. We've gone up about 20 times our land package what we had last year. We did a lot of mapping, a lot of soil sampling, about 5,000 soils collected last year. But one of the key things that we did was complete an airborne VTEM survey. And we completed the survey over that block, and that's a system that we used. It was a little bit lighter system than usually used. It's completed by Geotech, and they gave us some really good data. People say you're drilling geophysical anomalies, and everybody says they've been burnt by geophysical anomalies. And one thing I'd like to say is we're looking at geophysical anomalies, but we've got a very clear signature. There's about 5 different deposits in the area. We've flown all of them, and now we know what these things look like, and we've applied that signature to our land. Now, I don't know how I start this. I have a little video here. Uh-oh. Is there a way to... Oh, thank you. Here, the white circles are 3 deposits. You got the Overlook, Overlook and Key East and Key West. You can see there's a very clear conductive high on these features, and as we go through this, I'm just giving you a look at what these signatures look like. A lot of targets along the haul road. That's the mill, and we've got targets within 1.5 kilometers of the mill. None of these targets have ever been tested. One of the targets we talk about a lot was the big banana. This target is 2 kilometers in size, and when it first came out, we were quite worried because, one, it's exciting, it's a 2-kilometer target, but it's a really big target, and we'd like to see more than just a geophysical anomaly on these things. And, just to give you an idea of once we get a target, how we de-risk these targets, I'm going to walk you through a series of slides really quickly just to give you an idea. Now, what we're looking for here are targets that are blind. These are deposits that are buried. There is no sign of them on the surface in terms of the sulfides. Here's a target. It's a blind target. It's estimated to be at a depth of about 15 to 30 meters depth, and it's 10 to 15 meters thick and about 400 meters down dip. These deposits typically occur along limestone that's altered and brecciated. We get very excited when we see limestone close to a conductor, and in this case, we see limestone right on the top of this target, and it's dipping at about 55 degrees, which is what the model target is dipping at. So this has become a pretty interesting target for us. What's causing that conductor? Well, it's one of 2 things. It's either graphite or it's sulfides. So when we look at that, we would say there's not a lot of graphite in this district. We use our soil geochemistry and say, well, we've got copper, silver, up to 9 grams from our XRF, arsenic in blue, and some gold values. And that top gold value in yellow, that would be about 0.5 gram in soils. Now we look at that and we say, well, that's a pretty good indication that you're not looking at something that would be graphite. Metallic sulfides is a really good shot here. And what we don't know is the grades, if it does carry gold or not. So this is something that we've looked at with the soils. We've collected our soils on a 50 by 50 meter grid. What we're always looking for are structures that would have cut into these deposits and would give us some sort of a signature along the structures. Here you can see a lot of complex structures. Where we get intersecting structures or even along the trend of structures, we get the geochemistry in the soils. So really important for us. We've got a few targets along that we're going to drill this summer. It may not be where we start because we've got a bit more development to do on that target. But do remember, we've got a lot of targets in this district. We've got about 20 targets that will end up in the end. It's not just geophysical anomalies. We see some really interesting topographic features, things that we would call collapse structures. You can see on the right-hand side some little bright spots. That's mine workings from the past. We've got nice geochemical anomalies in there. Weak EM anomalies in that area, right over top of that geophysical or the geochemical anomaly, and that's something that we will do some IP over and develop a target there. What's next for us? Well, we have just selected a contractor. We're going to drill about 3,000 meters starting towards the end of May. We're going to collect 8,000 samples, a very ambitious program for us. A lot of ground magnetics. We like the detail we can get off the ground, some IP, and of course mapping and prospecting. And mapping and prospecting on known soil grids. It's been an amazing data set for us to have detailed soils. We now walk out to these areas, we find high gold, we walk to these and we start to find things that are barely sticking out of the ground and they've never been recognized before, and that was a real surprise for us this year. Okay, we've got a booth here. If you'd like to know a little bit more information, we'd be happy to talk to you about that, but thank you very much.